Hello and welcome to the second in a series of webinars from Cimteq on the topic of increasing profitability within smart cable factories. Today's webinar is called Is Your Cable Factory Getting Left Behind? How to Apply Smart Technology to Design and Manufacturing Processes. I'm Ken Jones and I'm your host for today. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager for Cimteq, and today's webinar is presented by Yufei, Cimteq's Business Development Manager for the APAC region. Yufei specializes as a software project manager in the cable industry after studying electrical and electronics engineering at the internationally respected University of Sheffield. Yufei has relocated to the new Cimteq office in Shanghai in China, where he is joining us from today. Just before I hand you over to Yufei, there is a chat box which you should see on your screens, either on the right-hand side or the left. If you have any questions about the topics covered as Yufei is presenting, please do use the chat box and we will come to the questions during the Q&A section. We want the webinar to be as interactive as possible and answer any questions you may have. So if your question requires a detailed answer, we're more than happy to continue the conversation after the webinar. So without further ado, I will now hand you over to Yufei from Cimteq, where he will be talking about how to apply smart technology to design and manufacturing processes. Thank you, Yufei.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Yufei. And today we're talking about smart factories, how to use the modern technologies to have smart factories, capable smart factories. So there are 5 topics today. The first is have a quick introduction about Industry 4.0 of smart factories, based on which one you like to phrase. And the second is why we need a smart factory, or why we need a cable smart factory. And next one will be what will be a cable smart factory look like and how it should be used. And next, the third topic is what stage is your smart factory at. And later I will give you more details about this one for where you are and where you want to be. And the next one will be what does a smart factory looks like. And last one, I think, which is the most interesting one, which is how we can use machine learning or big data or AI to support your business. So why we are doing this webinar for Industry 4.0 smart factories? It's a hot topic, I think, for the last 2 or even 3 years, and everybody talking about it. Germany raised this Industry 4.0. In China, people call it Made in China 2025. In US, it calls smart factories. And now we have a lot of modern technologies like advanced robotics, machine learning and AI, cloud computing, automation. All of this is pointing to this topic, which is the manufacturing is changing, so does the cable industry. And we need to look at this before we're left behind. So why, what, and how? So the first question, why we need a smart factory, or why we need a cable smart factory? The answer is simple. It's just because the old way of competing in this industry is no longer working. I've been talking to quite a few of my clients or prospects, and they're talking about, oh, if I want to have this Industry 4.0 standard cable factory, I want a smart cable factories, how we planning to do it, and we share opinions with each others. And the reason, when I ask them, there is a few reasons. The first one is the room for the price fighting is temporary, and will eventually have the factory itself. For example, for the last few weeks, the copper prices increased, and if you basically buying the copper in the new price and deliver to your customer with the old price, when you sign off the deal, then you may probably lose money. And we know a lot of my customer is negotiating with customers, say, oh, we cannot deliver this as the normal price because the price is increased. And that's one of the reasons we don't want to do a price fighting, because it's a temporary survival way and it will eventually harm the factory itself. And second one is customer want better product and service. Of course, they always ask for the cheaper price, but actually it's not something they are looking for. They want better product and they want better service. If you can provide that, then you don't need to, yes, they will still focus on the price, but price is not a big issue at that time. So when you have a smart factories, you can improve your manufacturing, you can improve your efficiency, you can do things different than before, which bring you the enough margin, and which you can use this to your development, to your research. Then you don't need to fight with other competitors just for price, which is not very efficient, is it? And last one is we have a lot of new technologies, as I mentioned before. So all of this bring us to a new dimension of running a cable factories, which is running a cable factory in a new way, and which is having a smart factory up and running and use the new way to running your business. So before we're talking to smart factory or Industry 4.0, there are two things I would like to emphasize and to make sure we're all on the same page. The first one is Industry 4.0 is more than a solution, or we will see it's more than a target. So people working hard to achieve Industry 4.0, but this shouldn't be the ultimate goal, because Industry 4.0 is a tool or like process or way of thinking to the factory. So we use Industry 4.0 as a tool, or smart factory as a tool, to achieve a better performances for the factory. We're not like having this because it's good. So that's the first thing I would like to share with you guys. And the next one is because I believe all the guys join here are the cable experts in their areas. So we know that if we're looking at cable manufacturing, the way we design cable, the way we manufacturing cable, the way we coating, it's a bit different from other industry. For example, like say cars or semiconductors, it's quite different. And because of that, those successful experience on other areas cannot be directly applied to cable industry, because we have very unique way of manufacturing and design. So next one, how to implement it in smart factory. I will spend a little bit more time on these slides because I think it's very important, and this is one of the major idea I would like to share with you guys is after talking to quite a lot of factories, they all tell me they want smart factories, but they are in different stages and they want to know where they are, how they can do, what's the ultimate goal they can achieve in the end. And most of them have no idea where they are. So after talking to all of these customers, then I come up with these 5 steps to give you guys a guide. Let's see how you can evaluate where you are or where your factory is and how far away you're from your smart factory. So there are 5 stages from top to bottom. I will see if you want a smart factory, these 5 steps are something you must go through. So the stage 1 is called rationalizations. So in this way, we're talking about making all the things make sense, including your operations, your workflows, or even your business flows, maybe your design flows, all of these basic day-to-day jobs, are they making sense? Are they rationalized enough? Believe me, not all the factory has overcome this stage, because when I'm talking to someone, and the only reason they survive is just because they are the only cable factory in that areas. They are the only supplier in that area, so that's why they survive. And due to the low entry level of the cable industry, so if you're being in that position, you can make money, your factory can survive, but it's not efficient. So, and you may not even making things make sense for all of this. So the first step is rationalization. I bet all of you guys joining us today have already overcome this. You have your SOP, standard of procedures. You have all your standard templates. Everything is in a right business flow. So that's the first thing. Is correct. And the next stage is called standardizations. So that one is a next step if we're talking about compare with rationalization. So you got everything doing in the right way, then you're thinking about doing it in a standard way. So we're doing this because if the new people coming in, we give them a guide. So this is something you follow and they can follow. So that making everything standard. So when you're doing things, you know what's happening, what's next, and it's good for them to start quickly, and it will make your consistency of the whole factory much, much better. And the reason why we're doing it for smart factory, because when we're talking about smart factory, we are trying to use automated robotics. We are talking about using softwares. We are talking about using all the advanced technologies, which is not all non-human being activities. And all of this, we need to standardize our flows, our operations, our way of designs, way to doing things. Then we can have those, put them into logic. Standardization here means logic. So we need to make everything logic. Then we can put logic into the system, software or robotics. Otherwise, if we're doing things not logic, the software or the computers or the robotics, they cannot help us. So next stage is standardization. And some of people stop here. For example, if we see talking about cable designs, and some factory is using PDM, so cable design software, to creating their designs, to generating specs, quotations to their customer. Some people using Excels. So if they're using Excel, you must have a standard template. So I will see if you're using, for example, Excel to creating your new designs, generating quotations, calculating BOMs, then you'll probably stay at the standardization for your design department. But if you are using a cable design software, which means you are on the next stage, which is digitalizations. And now we're talking about what is digitalization. Because you have everything standard, then you can put all your works upload them into a system, no matter it's planning, it's warehouse, it's design, it's manufacturing. So for each different department, you have your system help you to doing things better, quicker, less error, more accurate, all of this. So for this step, when you start using system, ERP, PDM, MES, quality control, advanced planning, all of this, then we're talking about you are in the position of stage 3, which is digitalization. So after digitalizations, you're running everything in your softwares. So you don't need any paper. You don't need any paper to release the production orders. You don't release paper to your customers. Everything is on digital. Then we can talking about using this system to communicate with your automation machines or robotics arms or VGAs, because if you want to do fully automated factories, you must have your system and let the system talking to your computer rather than you talking to your computer. If you're talking to your computer, then you cannot running all the time. But if you're using a software to support all your business and your software is talking to your shop floor machines, then that time we can say, okay, everything is automated. And the very rare factories achieve this stage. And I think there's a reason behind it. because we don't have too many successful case on here. Automation factories are not tailored their solutions to cable industries. I think that's why, well, not many people in this, but I think we can still, but I know a lot of factory is working very hard on this stage. So digitalization, automation. So after that, you put everything on software, or your business on your software. You put all your process, your operation, manufacturer on your shop floor with machines, which we call automation. Then the last step is using the data generated by your robotics, by your software to do some certifications using machine learning, AI. And later I will give you some, the last bit of this webinar is give you some examples how I see people using these technologies to solving their business issues. So that's the 5 stages. It's very important. So you can use this 5 stage to put your factories into this matrix, see where you are and how far you can do to achieve your smart factory goals. So that is the 5 steps of implementing a smart factory or cable smart factories. And the next one I want to talk about is the foundation of a smart factory. So we're talking about stage 3, actually, if we're doing here, because if the factory is not rationalized, sorry, we cannot help. You probably need to look at your own business flow or all standardizations. It's something which a software or AI or all of this advanced technology may not able to help you at that stage. Only starting from stage 3, that is somewhere software, machinery, new technologies start to taking effect. So we were talking about smart factories, which means those things are taking effects, and we need some foundations here. So first, actually, is the right one. You need to have all of this softwares. For example, all of you will have ERPs, and for sales, you will have your CRMs. For your design operation department or new product development, you will have a PDM, product design and management softwares. And for the shop floor, you will have MES system to help you with the execution of your cable productions. And you have APS, advanced planning system, to scheduling or plan what's your production plans for the shop floors. And all, you know, for example, WMS, warehouse, so every department will have some software to support their work from paper or manual to digitalize and automated business flow. That's the first thing. So after you have all of the softwares, and next step is you need to connect them together. I can give you some examples. So all of you have ERPs. And in your ERPs, you have your sales orders, you have your production orders, and you need your all the BOM and raw material information. And those information will be used in different places. For example, for sales order, your salespeople need it. And for your production order, after you generate it from ERP, you need to send it to your shop floor, to the MES system. And your PDM will send the cable information to your ERP, and your quotation will be sent to CRM. So all of this information all of this data, not information, data need to be flow in different systems, and all the systems need to sync together. So that's very important. And another one, it must be real time, because now a lot of people say, yes, our systems are connected, but it's not real time. The reason I was focused on real time, because smart factory means we are talking about next level, which means our machine learning AI is helping us to making decisions. Our machine is doing things. I have some self-judgment to do what to do next. And all of this decision need data to support them making those decisions. And if our data feedback is not real time, the efficiency will drop down a lot. So that's something it's really important, which is real-time data exchange and feedback. So, in summary, what does a smart cable factory will-be looks like? We need to have one system. In here, we call one system. I call it one system just because I want to emphasize that all your different systems working together, the data flow exchange real time and working like one system. That's very important. And next one, you have your digital twin. So this digital twin is very popular in German factories and in US factories, which is all the information, what happened in your factory could real-time reflect in your digital models of these factories. So basically you can simulate in your digital twins, you can do the predictions based on your digital twins of this factory. So the digital twin is very important for smart factories because in this way, the machine learning module, later I will tell you about machine learning, but the digital twin enables machine learning and AI technology to do a lot of things than at the moment because they need simulation. And you cannot simulate everything in your real shop floor. So you need a digital simulation for this AI module or big data. Then they can help you to do a lot of decision, or we call it prescriptive decisions to your cable factories. That's the ultimate, or that's a very, very big difference when we're talking about smart factories and not smart factories, is using those new technology to help factory making decisions. And you have big data, which means all the business data are stored at the same position and can be used by any part of your business. There is no blockage for any data. Of course, you need to. We don't need to worry about data safeties, but all the people can access all the data when they need it within the business. That is very important, and a lot of people still cannot doing that. And last one, we're using machine learning to help us because I think machine learning is very hot topics and it can solve a lot of issues. And in cable industry, I believe we can use it in many places. So yeah, that's to our last topics, how to use machine learning help cable factories. So machine learning has become a competitive differentiator in a big data world. So vast amounts of data are already overwhelming existing BI tools and analytics processes. So when we're facing with hundreds of variables, a human's ability to efficiently identify new insights or detect changing patterns manually has also been exceeded. To address these challenges, so BI and analytics professionals are putting their hope on machine learning, big data, and AIs. And so in here, to a little bit more explanation is, after you have all the softwares, then you will collect a lot of data. But how to use this data in the most efficient way is not let your management or your mid-level managers to analysis or use BI tools to analysis by yourself, is to use the machine learning module to feeding this data to the machine learning. Then they can give you results. So that's most important, efficient way. So I'm going to talk about how machine learning could support cable industry on their business under the new under this smart factory framework or structures. So to start, there are three major types of machine learning we are talking about. So the first one is called supervised machine learning. So supervised machine learning often used to predict next value in general concept, and it's a task-driven solution. So which means for supervised machine learning, I will have some example later to tell you how we can use supervised machine learning to solve cable business issues. And for the unsupervised machine learning is people put data into it to identify clusters, and it's usually data-driven. So in here, we're talking about you have a lot of data, but you are not sure if there is a pattern or cluster between it. Then you use this unsupervised machine learning to identify each of the clusters or find this thing which is most useful to you. So that is not task-driven, it's data-driven. So the last but not least is reinforcement learning. So this one is well known because of the AlphaGo. And a quick phrase to reinforcement learning is learning from mistake. So basically this one is, if you don't know something or have no idea what they are, and you put them into a learning reinforcement learning machine learning module, and this module could learn from its own mistake and practice become better and better. But today we're not going to cover too much about this one, because reinforcement learning, in my opinion, is the next step after we can make full use of supervised and unsupervised machine learning. So how we can use supervised machine learning to support your business or cable factories. So to put it into a cable industry environment, I have listed a few possible practice, and I'm going to talk about the first two in details. So the first one is to predict product qualities. So we can use current cable design data to train the module to predict the quality of the new product. For example, robotics cables. If you have designed robotics cable before, it's usually for robotics arms, and it's bending like millions of times for their life cycle. And after millions of time bending, you still need to transition the power, the signal the right way with no affected. So usually before we have any software to help it, what we do is we design it and we put onto a robotics arm and bending for many times, which takes maybe 3 months to get a result. And that's very time consuming. But actually, if we put this data into supervised machine learning mode, we can let the mode tell me the result even before the lab testing. So what we do here, just bear with me a second. I'm going to show you this. So this is a case study from Dr. Lin Yongzhen. He's a professor from Taiwan. So what he is doing is he's using the existing cable design data to training this supervised machine learning module, then use this module to predict the new design for the robotics arms. And the result is very encouraging and very positive. So this is a very good example of using big data and machine learning to solve the cable business issues. And the next one is scheduling and planning. So I have actually a lot of customers asking me if there is a good planning or scheduling solution or software, because at the moment, most of my customers are still using manual scheduling due to the planning job in the shop floor is very complex and highly experienced. It depends on individuals. And because of this, so yes, there are a lot of APS software on the market and you can buy them. But after you buy it, the most important thing, you need to input your experience into this advanced planning system. But if you're doing that, which means first, there are some limitations. We all know how flexible and our shop floor, cable shop floor is, how flexible you can squeeze a job in, and you can plan for made to order, made to stock, and everything is changing all the time. If machine stop, what you do? So all of this need to be considered when the scheduling people making the plan for the today. But we have done a lot of it. So if we're using a supervised machine learning, so we can use the past planning data to train a model that to do the plan. So this supervised machine learning can use the previous data to training himself, and then you can use this module to planning for the future. So instead of buying an APS software, I think use machine learning, learning how to plan for your production, shop floor production, based on your previous existing data is more useful. And I can see a lot of case, not in the cable industry at the moment, but other industry, they're using machine learning skills to help them making the plannings. And I know, I think, sorry, I forgot his name, but it's a company in London who is having like 400 vehicles to do the logistics, and now they are using the machine learning to learning their planning modules and to instruct these 400 vehicles where you should go next, and all of this is based on their previous scheduling, and basically now they're using machine learning to do all of this. So that is about the scheduling and the planning. So that is reinforcement learning. Supervised machine learning. So for the unsupervised machine learning, here are something we can do. The first one is to point out the human error or exceptions in your current system data. The thing is, when you implemented ERP, for example, in ERP system, you will do a lot of data migration, data cleaning. But after you've done that, you put them in this system, nobody will doubt it if they are correct or not, because we don't have resource to review them. However, with unsupervised machine learning, it's very promising that this mode could do this job for you. So you put all this data, all your existing data into this unsupervised machine learning, and it can find out some clusters for your business, maybe point out some errors or made by your operators when data entering this data, or they can point something you are not realized to figure out or pick up undercovered truths behind these data. So that's the first example. For the same concept, could be used to identify the shop floor bottlenecks or machine maintenance patterns, because this practice using the data which recorded by each single factories from day by day. So treating this data in a different angle could give you something you may never thought of before, and that is the fancy part for machine learning, discovering the truths hidden under the data. So you might have all this data and using this way, and after you put into the machine learning, because machine learning is a tool, it doesn't know what is cable manufacturer is, but after they have all of this data, it's learning from this data, it's getting experience based on the data, and it might give you something which you never think of before. So that's a very interesting part of it. And a lot of other industry already using this to do this. I've been to some stainless steel making factories, and I know they are using machine learnings to identify their bottlenecks, which they found there are some certain stuff which they never pay attention to, but but these parts are really stop them, reduce their efficiencies. And after they improve that part, and they got benefits from that. So cable factory, I believe we can do the same. The only challenge here is probably not every factory have an MES system or or recording this data structurally. So if you don't have this data, probably you need to look at how I can get into those data, then use machine learning. So it's about next step. So after all of these few topics, and let's do a quick summary. So cable industry needs smart factories, but maybe in a little bit different ways. First, we need synced and integrated system. So one system environment, and we need essential automations. So if you see, if you review all my topics we talked before, we're talking not too much about automations. And there's a reason behind it, because actually for making cables, the major cost is on the materials and operational cost. Yes, the efficiency is very important, but operational cost is not very huge part of it. So even you have replace all your labors with robotics arms or all these machineries, automated machineries, the efficiency improvement is very limited. But if we seek in another way, find bottlenecks, improve the downtime, reduce the downtime of machines, that will improve a lot. So essential automation is very important, but maybe for cable factory, we need to look at smart factory in a different angle rather than when we see like Tesla gigafactories, everything is robotics. That's their target. But for us, we may think it in a different way. And I just give you some angles to see how we can see these things. And the next one is we need to open the black box of the shop floor using always saying we can use machine learning, we can use MES, we can use all of these tools we have to open it, because a lot of factories I talk to, they are struggling to understand how exactly the efficient of their factory is. And they have all the informations like a point, but they are not in a line or even a clear picture of it. So we need to open the black box using the tool we just talked about. And the traceability from sales request to the cable dispatch, everything need to be recorded down. Then we can use all the tools, new technologies to help us. And we need a digital twin, of course. This is the way when we're talking about reinforcement learning, maybe we can have another separated webinar just talking about reinforcement learning for business, cable business, because the fantasy part of reinforcement learning is it can looking forward, it can predict. So for us, when we're making decisions, we see all the facts and predict maybe next 5 to 10 steps what will happen. That's the maximal, the maximum we can do as a human being. But if we see AlphaGo or I would say reinforcement learning AI modules, they can see things in the next 50 or even 100 steps for the future. So they have a much further prediction than we are, and they see things in different ways. So when they give you some advice using reinforcement learning on business decisions, that may give you a very different answer how you're doing things now, which can lead to the future, what will happen. So that's in reinforcement learning. But I didn't see any factories. If you know any, I'm happy to communicate with you guys about this. But I think that way is what, as a cable smart factory, what trying to achieve using all this technology to find different, to support us to do all different business issues. So that's all for my presentations, and thank you very much for your time. And I hand over to Ken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yufei, for that presentation. That was really interesting. I'd like to open the webinar up for questions now. So please use the chat box to put a question to Yufei, who will be here for another 10 minutes or so. So now's your chance. There was a lot of content covered by Yufei there. A lot of interesting content, so I'm sure there's plenty of questions off the back of it. I do have a couple of questions to start us off, Yufei. So the first question, when cable manufacturers adopt smart technologies, what is the return on investment they can expect to see? I think you muted there, Yufei.
I'm sorry. Yes, I muted. So actually, different cable factories will have different return on investment after using all of this. So for example, if a factory have difficulties on plannings, and if they use the supervised machine learning on that, they might save not only the labor, but also efficient. And if we're talking about if these people doing robotics arms and they are spending months to get the result for their designs, whether it's a good design or not, then manufactured and they will have, if they use supervised machine learnings, then they can save months of time. So they know the result even before they produce the proof of concept cables, example cables, sample cables. So for different factories, how the return will be different. For example, when you achieve smart factories, all of these factories will have different targets. And it's very difficult to see what exactly how much they will have, but what I can see is based on what's your focus. If you focus on sales, that's something you can achieve. If you focus on production or design, that's something you can achieve. It's just those technology can be used in different areas. We don't need to do everything at the same time. We can focus on one part and solve this issue and then moving to the next one. So basically, return on investment is need to be stay case by case. But what I will say based on my experience, the benefits will exponentially increase. So at the beginning, you may have not much because you are learning, getting data, learning from that. Then there's some point when you get enough data and your model is accuracy, then the benefits will exponentially increases. So that's how it works.
Okay, and what are the common barriers to the adoption of smart technology within cable manufacturers that you see?
Actually, the barriers are a few things. The first is, the first one I will say is a lot of factories may not have a accurate or smart, target. Smart target, not this. Smart means like specific, measurable, accurate, achievable, smart, target-driven objects or targets. And that's the first barrier, because you may not know what you are. You need to understand what is smart factories very well. Then you need to set your goal correctly, because smart factory is not bring, like today I have a smart factory, next year I will triple our turnover. It's not like that. You need to have a very clear target and achieve it step by step. So that's one barrier. And second barrier is a lot of factory is designed not in a smart factory structures. So for some factories, you might even review your own structures on how you're approaching it. Like different departments have its own job and they need to work together. That's something the current structure may block them to achieving that. And the last one is the most common one is it's a long-term long-term evaluations or revolutions. So a lot of factories targeting it a little bit too much and basically making the gap like this, and nobody can overcome this gap. So you need to separate into small gaps to make sure exactly. That's why we're talking about 5 stages. So you need to know where you are and where you want to be. Then you have a plan. You cannot finish this in even, let's say, 2-3 years. It's maybe a 5 years plan or even longer. And in this way, you can do things gradually, step by step. Then you can have, that's the barrier. I'm not so much worried about maybe less software or machinery or even the technology, because from the software, we know we have a lot of good software on the market. For the technology, machine learning is very, very matured and be used in a lot of other industries, and we know it's working, and we have a lot of talents in this area, and we can learning from it. We cannot use directly, but we can reference to it. And for the machinery, it's just there, a lot of choice. We just need to pick up one. So I'm worried about the way of thinking, the concept, the structure in the more in the thinking way rather than the actual technology or machinery. That's not something we should worry about. The solution is the way to achieve is more, I think, is more important.
Yeah. Okay. And when it comes to the software, can you go into some detail about Cable Builder and Cable MES, Cimteq's software, and how that fits within the smart cable factory?
Okay. So, basically, Cable Builder is a PDM software. So it's all about digitalizations when we're talking about Cable Builder and Cable MES, because Cable Builder is helping design engineers to creating cable designs and getting the BOM usage and cost automatically, quickly, and efficient. And after that, all this data can be set down to shop floor for quality, and the manufacturing instruction can send to ERP for system data integrations, and it can be used for quality checking, it can be used for warehouse. It's a digital data center for all your products and can be used for anywhere. So in the smart factory, you need one database which is collecting all your design data, and Cable Builder is designed to be fit in that position. It's a centralized product information and collecting central, and it can help your design engineer, operation engineer for everything. So that's for Cable Builder in the smart digitalization stage for the smart factories. For Cable MES, it's much just it's MES for system. So everybody when they talk about smart factories, the first thing they can think of is MES system. So that explains how important it is. And Cable MES is specialized for cable industry, and we have done a lot of things to tailor to fit the needs for cable industry. And we know all the generic MES is not able to support like drums or the cable process, manufacture process, and the cable size, all of this information. But cable design, Cable MES is designed for cable industry. So we basically solved all of these issues. And yes, MES is a very important one because it's recording all the data from shop floor. If you want to do planning, good, use machine learning, you need data from MES. You want to do the quality or even to find the maintenance patterns, you need MES to record the maintenance record for you. Then you can use it. So basically, MES record everything happened in your shop floor. Then after you have this data, then we can talk about how you can use this data in a smart ways. But without MES, you can do nothing because everything on a paper cannot be smart. And you can not be by big data or machine learning modules. So that's how Cable Builder and Cable MES fits in the smart factories. It's basically, it's not smart factories, but it's something you cannot jump over. You must have to achieve next level. It's basically the foundation, very big, very important foundation for the smart factories.
Okay, thank you, Yufei. I'm going to leave the chat box open for questions for another 30 seconds or so. So now's your chance. Like I said, Yufei's here for another 5 minutes. So if there's any questions that came up during his presentation, please use the chat box and we'll put the question to Yufei. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. So, okay, so we'd like to finish by thanking you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar. If you did, there's one more webinar as part of this series on increasing profitability within smart cable factories. That webinar starts at 10 a.m. UK time tomorrow with Frederick Becker, Cimteq's Regional Manager for Europe, the Middle East and Africa. And he will be talking about how to transition to a smart cable factory that's ready for the future, where to start and where you'll end up. You'll receive a follow-up email from us over the next day or two following this webinar, which will include a recording of this webinar, so please do look out for it. And I just have one more request from everybody who is here. If you could use the chat box to drop in a short comment about what you thought of today's webinar, that would be very useful information for Yufei and myself. So thank you in advance for those comments. And thank you again for joining us today, and special thanks to Yufei for the presentation. So I will leave the live room open for the next minute or two for those last comments to come in for the feedback on the webinar. Thank you.